Yo, 我跟你讲起来吼. Today, you are about to lay eyes on one of the most accurate prophecies I've ever seen, and it is terrifying as fuck. And it's all about how to occupy and destroy a country. And so far, where America is concerned, it has already come to pass. And what's even worse, it is going down in real time right here in good old Taiwan.
You're in trouble now.
And I gotta be straight up, this episode is not gonna be all culpe and rainbows, yo. Because after you finish watching it, you're probably gonna be depressed for a few days. At least I was anyway. Because what you are about to see is a real-life KGB agent back in 1984, no joke, teaching Americans inside a liberal classroom in LA how to occupy and destroy a country, step by step. So, you're gonna need 2 bags of 蛋黄奶酥爆米花, because 这个真的是代志大条咯。好久不见，我还活着啦. I just took a little bit of break, and I want to thank all you guys for supporting our last video, and I found that quite a few in the comments were just like me, in that they strongly support Taiwan, they just don't support any political party. Because in my opinion, citizens of a democratic country should be swing voters, yo. It don't make any sense to say that you only belong to one camp or another. So for all y'all goofy niggas in the comments, which are probably even bots, claiming I'm a Mijingtang puppet and I finally jumped ship, bruh, let me give you a little history lesson. Black folks don't swim, and we sure as hell ain't getting on no more boats. Not after what happened last time.
You're so dumb.
And just a brief heads up, I'm gonna cover a lot of different topics on this channel from now on, not just international affairs. And today is something that I've been wanting to share with you guys for over a year now. And I think now is the perfect time. I've even thrown in a few tidbits in previous videos, like this little trailer.
The first one being demoralization. It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. Why that many years? Because this is the minimum number of years which requires to educate one generation of students in the country of your enemy, exposed to the ideology of the enemy.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Yuri Bezmenov, a former KGB spy who actively participated in the ideological subversion of other countries. Now, he defected to the United States over 40 years ago and revealed many KGB methods for destroying a country without even firing a single shot. Now, I'm sure many of you have seen this short interview clip. There's another more interesting video which very few people have seen, where Yuri is actually at one of the most liberal left-leaning places you could ever be, a Los Angeles University classroom. And he's teaching these students exactly how to step by step, how to ideologically subvert countries in very great detail. This is gotta be one of the most scary thrillers I've ever seen, because everything he talked about can be seen very clearly in America and in Taiwan.
And unlike a dictionary of English, Oxford Dictionary, subversion in Soviet terminology means always a destructive, aggressive activity aimed to destroy the country, nation, or geographical area of your enemy. So there's no romantics in there, absolutely. No blowing up bridges, no microfilms in Coca-Cola cans, nothing of that sort. No James Bond nonsense. It's most of this activity is overt, legitimate, and easily observable if you give yourself time and trouble to observe it. But according to the law and law enforcement systems of the Western civilization, it's not a crime. Exactly because of misconception, manipulation of terms. We think that subverter is a person who is going to blow up our beautiful bridges. No. Subverter is a student who comes for exchange, a diplomat, an actor, an artist, a journalist like myself.
When a country faces disaster or attack, it will unite all of its citizens, and patriotism protects the country. Just look at what happened in America on 9/11. So therefore, in order for the KGB to completely destroy a country, 他们不用007，只要用迪士尼。
Weird.
It's the most counterproductive, barbaric, and inefficient to fight on a battlefield. You know that war is continuation of state policy, right? So if you want successfully to implement your state policy, and you start fighting, this is the most idiotic way to do it. The highest art of warfare is not to fight at all, but to subvert anything of value in the country of your enemy, until such time that the perception of reality of your enemy is screwed up to such an extent that he does not perceive you as an enemy, and that your system, your civilization, and your ambitions look to your enemy as an alternative If not desirable, then at least feasible. Better red than dead. That's the ultimate purpose, the final stage of subversion, after which you can simply take your enemy without a single shot being fired, if the subversion is successful. This is basically what subversion is.
Destroying the most valuable aspects of an enemy country until their reality is so distorted that they no longer see you as the enemy. Real talk, this statement frightens me because it perfectly matches my feelings. In Taiwan or many democratic countries, I believe the most valuable thing is freedom of speech. Previously, I was scared as shit to even criticize the Minjintang because I assumed whenever I spoke up, I would be labeled as a Chinese political propagandist. And folks would be attacking me from every angle, from my nationality to my skin color, even to the lack of hair on my head. And I really felt at one point that Taiwan's public opinion environment was very similar to that country across the pond, or maybe even worse. Just like how a Minjintang legislator was accused of misogyny by his own teammates.
That's crazy, man.
The first stage of subversion is the process which is called basically demoralization. It says for itself what it is. It takes from, say, 15 to 20 years to demoralize a society. Why 15 or 20 years? This is the time sufficient to educate one generation of students or children. One generation. One lifetime span of a person, a human being, which is dedicated to study, to shaping up the outlook, ideology, personality. No more, no less. Usually it takes from 15 to 20 years.
Demoralization. I've seen a lot of videos translate this word as moral collapse, but it should actually be translated as making people lose their will to fight through changing one's ideology and perspective. For example, people born 15 years ago or more, who are now 国中生, their perception would be that Taiwan lacks freedom of speech, while DBP keeps saying they want to protect Taiwan. But when these students express any dissatisfaction with the Minjintang online, they get attacked by Minjintang supporters. The thing is, in just 3 years, those same people will be able to vote. And who do you think they're gonna vote for? Will they vote to protect Taiwan? Ladies and gentlemen, this is demoralization in real time.
If it's a free, democratic society, there are many different movements within the society. There are obviously, in every society, there are people who are against this society. They may be simple criminals, ideologically in disagreement with the state policy, conscientious enemies, simply psychotic personalities who are against anything, right? And finally, there are a small group of agents of a foreign nation, bought, subverted, recruited, right? The moment all these movements will be directed in one direction, right? This is the time to catch that movement and to continue it until the movement forces the whole society into collapse, into crisis, right? So that's exactly the martial art tactic. We don't stop an enemy. We let him go. We help him to go in the direction we want them to go.
The great Napoleon Bonaparte once said, never interrupt your enemy while they're making a mistake. Better yet, tell them they're doing a great job. 你做得很棒哦，继续做下去哦，加油！小帮忙来找我。Look no further than America's BLM, LGBTQ, the feminist movement, and even DEI. They all started out as really honest, great ideas, but all it took was a handful of extremists to completely fuck it up and divide society. Now, I've always been a proponent and a champion of same-sex marriage, but back in the day, when the whole movement was going down in Taiwan, if you didn't support it, that was your ass. You might be shamed or even in worst cases canceled, and goofy stuff like this caused division amongst Taiwan's young society. Or even recently, just a few weeks ago, when a Minjintang legislator was completely attacked and called a misogynist by feminists on his own team, practically immediately following the 大罢免失败.
God bless you, and fuck off.
You cannot legislate equality. If you want to be equal, you have to be equal. You have to deserve it. And yet we build our society on the principle of equality. We say people are equal. We know it is false. It's a lie. Some people are tall and stupid. Others are short, bold, and clever. If we make them equal by force, if we put the principle of equality in the basis of our socio-political structure, it's the same thing as building a house on sand. sooner or later it will collapse, and that's exactly what happens. And we, as Soviet propaganda makers, are trying to push you in the direction which you go yourself.
Now, luckily, Taiwan doesn't have the extreme equity policies like in the United States, such as providing subsidies to illegal immigrants or giving additional points to people of color. However, the extreme left's pursuit of equality and social justice has completely divided Americans, where the value of equality has completely surpassed national interests.
The stabilization process usually leads directly to the process of crisis. In case of developing nations, that's the area where I was active. The process starts when the legitimate bodies of power, the social structure collapse. It cannot function anymore. So instead, we have artificial body injected into society, such as non-elected committees. You remember I was talking about them here. Social workers who are not elected by people, media who are self-appointed rulers of your opinion, some strange groups which claim that they know how to lead society forward. They don't usually. All they care is how to collect donations and sell their own concocted ideology, mixture of religion and ideology.
To put it simply, those who actively pursue human rights, women's rights, LGBTQ rights, don't give a fuck about national unity and stability. Their job is to radicalize their supporters, willing to divide the nation to satisfy their own ideology. I'm willing to bet that one day Lai Ching-te, our very own president, will be criticized by his own Minjindang members, saying they don't want a misogynist for president.
How dare you?
The next step is destabilization. Again, this word says for itself what it is. To destabilize all the relations, all the accepted institutions and organizations in a country of your enemy. How you do it? You don't have to send up a battalion of KGB agents to blow up bridges. No. You let them do it themselves. The area of application is, again, it's narrower now, not like the previous case. The overt legitimate actions of the KGB in this case would be hardly noticeable. There is no crime if a professor who recently went to USSR introduces a course of Marxism-Leninism in a Californian college, for example. Nobody is going to come to his doorstep and say, okay, mister, come, you are under arrest. No, it's not a crime. It's not even considered a moral crime against your country. So the area of application here is narrowing down to economy, again labor relations, right? To law and order, plus military. Yes, and again the media, but wider scope, little bit different.
Now, based on my observation, Taiwan has entered this stage right here. The spy cases involving high-ranking military officers, the Minjindang presidential office spy case, the out-of-control housing prices over the last decade, Taiwan's industrial imbalance, M-shaped wealth distribution, Minjindang supporters actively engaging in McCarthyism, Kuomintang and TPP paralyzing the Constitutional Court. These are all phenomena that destabilize Taiwan's society.
Fuck.
Crisis is when society cannot function anymore productively. It collapses, obviously. That's the word for crisis. So therefore, the population at large is looking for a savior. The religious groups are expecting a messiah to come. The workers say, we have family to feed. Let's have a strong government, maybe socialist government, centralized. When somebody put their employers on their place and let us work. We are sick and tired of going to strike and missing overtime and all that stuff. We need some strong man, strong government, a leader, a savior is needed. Population is sick and tired already. And here we are. We have a savior. Either a foreign nation comes in, or the local group of leftists, Marxists, no matter what they call themselves, Sandinista, a reverend or some sort, Bishop Muzureva, like in Zimbabwe, doesn't matter. A savior comes and says, I will lead you. So we have two alternatives here. Civil war and invasion.
Now, remember what I just mentioned about Guo Zongsen, who will turn 18 in 2028? They will have lived under DPP governance from 6 to 18 years old, 12 whole years. And when they cast their vote, seeing Taiwan in such chaos, they too will want a savior. And given that they've been watching Xiao Hongsu and Douyin since childhood, who exactly do you think they'll tell them that savior is? Now, the way I see it, everything that Yuri Bezmenov is talking about is going down 100% in Taiwan right now. Not only that, this is all exactly in line with Heath Ledger's The Joker.
It wasn't hard. See, madness, as you know, is like gravity. All it takes is a little push.
Just one gentle push to make Taiwan's feminist movement, LGBTQ movement, and anti-China movement go crazy, making Taiwanese people despise their own government. This is real united front work, not those pro-China internet celebrities or singers or legislators. Those people are just pawns pushing up on you.
All it takes is a little push.
This is a horror story actually happening in Taiwan right now, and it seems absolutely hopeless. But Yuri provided one method to reverse the entire situation.
So the answer to ideological subversion, strangely enough, is very simple. You don't have to shoot people, you don't have to aim missiles and Pershings and cruise missiles at Andropov's headquarters. You simply have to have faith and prevent subversion. In other words, not to be a victim of subversion. Don't try to be a person who in judo is trying to smash your enemy and being caught by your hand. Don't strike like that. Strike with the power of spirit and moral superiority. If you don't have that power, it's high time to develop it.
So, according to Yuri Bezmenov, faith is the one thing that can counter United Front tactics. And when it comes to democratic countries, the most important faith is in freedom of speech. However, recently, in Taiwan anyway, and also America, if you say something that your own friends don't want to hear, and they happen to belong to a certain political party, well, guess what? They're gonna shame your ass, maybe cancel your ass, and immediately label you a CCP misogynistic spy. Shit, you might even get doxxed and lose your job. Real talk, and this is gonna piss some people off. In some ways, Taiwan has become just like that country over there that we don't want anything to do with. Because at least over there, you can still call people yoidinyang.
Why are you gay?
Who says I'm gay?
You are gay.
Now, before you jump to conclusions, let's make this real clear. The United Front's goal is not to make you love China, it's to make you hate Taiwan. The DPP is not running the United Front, but there sure seems to be quite a few useful idiots who are making it a lot easier to hate this country, making China look like a much better option. So to me, I think the best way to counter these United Front tactics is to not act like little Xiaofenhong or even Xiao Caihong, and definitely don't go off on some dangerous McCarthyism streak. Stop canceling and humiliating and doxing folks, yo. Make freedom of speech great again. Identify the clowns that are fucking with you, and don't give in to the madness. DEI. Don't encourage insanity.
Don't you do it! Don't!
Now, I know this episode was pretty heavy, but I think Taiwan still has hope. Maybe.
All it takes is a little push.